So much the same as before, and then we can Control V to paste in that code, removing the Control 0 because we only want one of those. And we need to make one change in here, and instead of cutting, what we want to do is we want to simply copy. We will then compile the code, and we can finish with that one and go on to edit paste. Again, we'll have some comments, and all we're going to do is simply paste the text from the Windows clipboard into the current prompt. Now again, we'll declare a subroutine, and again we want set property and get property. So we get the property from the control, and then we need to set our status. Which is to send a message to the control, and we need to paste. And then we can return 0. And if we just check the syntax, which is correct, and we can just simply file and exit and update. Now this time, if we were to run our form, bring in record number 1, we'll grab London, edit and cut, it disappears, edit and paste, and it reappears. Now the code that I'm using, just be aware, it's okay for edit lines, but the edit table is a little bit of a special control, and I've got something on the clipboard, so if I was to do paste there, it's not going to work. In the same way, if I was to F2 and select Ealing and edit and cut, it's not going to cut that text out of there, and if I go into this edit line and paste, it's still going to pull in London. So just bear in mind that this works for controls, but it doesn't work for the edit table. That requires more work, and it's beyond my technical knowledge. Remember, I'm not a professional developer, and therefore it's out of the scope of this particular lesson. So this is really to introduce you to how to work with menus, but there are other things that you need to do behind the scenes. Now I should point out that as a non-developer, I'm not necessarily using best practice during these lessons. It's to introduce you using the evaluation software to the controls. However, if you open up the help system and do a search for event qualifier, or I did a search on edit menu and found it here, then this is a really nice little help file that will tell you all about creating a nice little edit menu. So undo, cut, copy, paste, find next, and find previous. And we'll explain in more detail how to create a proper menu, including at the end the code for the create event and the omni event for the window to make all this work. This is a little bit too technical for me, so it's out of the scope of this lesson, but again, it's another example of using the help files to get proper best practice when building your applications. So let's just close out of the help file, and if we just go back and test run that form again for the moment, our menu is looking very nice. However, new applications these days tend to have a bitmap in the menu item, so let's just go ahead and look at that. Now on my system, I have created, under my Clinic Data Application Images, another folder called Menus, and within that folder I've dropped in 3 standard 16 by 16 graphics, one for cut, one for copy, and one for paste. And I went into the OpenInsight Application Manager, created new entities, and I've created 3 bitmaps, and those 3 bitmaps we're going to use in this form. So what we'll do is we'll go back to design our menu, and I'm going to just use those 3 menu items, so cut. And if I select the bitmap drop down, then I can get a list of all the bitmaps within my application, and I have got one here for cut. And remember, I always use MP to prefix my menu items, and in this particular instance I put underscore menu and underscore cut. So what that does is it brings all of my menu graphics together, so I can find them in the repository very quickly. So just a little tip for you. So I'll do cut, copy, and the last one is paste, and you can see that I've got the graphics coming in there. And if we then just file, exit and update, and we test run that form, then you can see now that we've got quite a nice little option in here where we've got the menu items with the bitmaps. Now there's something else that's a little bit wrong, because if you remember, I've got nothing to paste because I've just run the form. So let's just fix that up. We'll go back into the design, and if we haven't got anything to paste, then what we really want to do is we want to make that disabled. And normally you won't have anything to paste when you first open the form. Well, that's a decision that I'm making anyway. So I'll change the property to disabled. We'll then test run the form again, and this time I get my paste disabled, it's grayed out, and within OpenInsight it also grays out my image as well. And then if I go into the form, we'll select London and we'll copy that. Immediately the code that we just created is enabling the paste option on the menu, and OpenInsight is also putting in the proper graphic for us. So this is quite a nice little menu now for our form. And I think we're pretty much done with this lesson. So we took a very quick look at the context menu builder. As I said, we might look at that again at a future lesson. It's a topic in its own right. But in this particular lesson we looked at creating a relatively simple menu for our form, including dropping in some images, etc. So that's it for this lesson. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one very soon. Bye bye.